88% of Americans started this year feeling some form of financial stress. Almost half say they are more stressed about money now than they were 12 months ago. And if you are watching this video, there is a good chance you feel it too. That quiet tension in the background, that sense that no matter what you do, you are still behind, still not where you should be, still not doing enough. But here's what almost nobody talks about. The early stages of building real wealth almost never feel like progress. They feel like standing still. They feel like nothing is happening. They feel boring and uncertain and frustratingly quiet. And because we have been taught to expect wealth to show up with visible proof, a bigger house, a nicer car, a vacation worth posting, we miss the real indicators entirely. In this video, I am going to walk you through 7 signs that you are secretly getting rich, even if your life does not look or feel any different yet. And some of these might surprise you, because they do not look anything like what most people imagine wealth building looks like. My name is Ivan, and I help people understand the psychology behind building real wealth. Let us get into it. Sign number 1, payday has become unremarkable. Think about your relationship with payday for a second. Not how much you earn, but how payday makes you feel. Because the emotional weight of that deposit tells you more about your financial health than the number on the check. Here's what I mean. Poor Peter gets paid on Friday, and the relief is immediate. He has been watching his balance shrink all week. There is a car insurance payment he has been delaying, a credit card minimum he has been sweating over, and groceries he has been putting off. Payday is not just a deposit, it is a rescue. The moment it hits, Peter's chest loosens, the anxiety drops, he can breathe again for about 48 hours. Then the cycle restarts. Rich Richard gets paid on the same Friday. He checks his account, sees the deposit, and goes back to whatever he was doing. There is no relief because there was no panic. The money lands in an account that already has a buffer. It gets split automatically. Some to savings, some to investments, some to expenses. Richard did not even need to think about it. Payday came and went like any other Thursday or Friday or whatever day of the week it happens to land on. And here is the part that most people miss. Richard does not feel rich. He does not look at his deposit and think, I have made it. He just feels normal, unremarkable, routine. That is the signal. When payday stops being a rescue mission and starts being a non-event, something fundamental has shifted in your financial life. You are no longer living on the edge of your income. You have built enough space between what you earn and what you need that the timing of your paycheck no longer controls your emotions. A recent Empower study found that the median emergency savings for Americans is just $500. 1 in 3 adults has no emergency savings at all. So if payday barely registers for you, if it does not trigger relief or anxiety or urgency, you are already operating differently than most of the country. And that difference compounds. And here's the thing about this sign that makes it tricky. You might actually feel bad about not being excited on payday. You might think, shouldn't I feel something? Shouldn't getting paid feel like a win? But that numbness is not apathy. It is stability. It means your financial life does not depend on one single deposit to function. You have built a structure underneath you, and the paycheck is just one input into that structure, not the lifeline holding everything together. The day payday becomes boring is the day your money stops controlling your emotional calendar, and that is a shift worth paying attention to. Sign number 2, your taste has not kept up with your income. This one sounds like it should be obvious, but it is actually more psychological than people realize, because there is a massive difference between someone who cannot afford nice things and someone who can afford them but does not want them. Poor Peter got a raise last year, a good one, about 15%. Within 3 months, his entire life looked different. New apartment in a trendier neighborhood, new furniture to match the apartment, new wardrobe because the old one felt wrong in the new place. Restaurant budget doubled, streaming subscriptions tripled, and the craziest part is that Peter does not feel like he is overspending. His lifestyle just organically expanded to fill the new income. It felt natural, it felt earned. Rich Richard got the same raise, and almost nothing changed. He still drives the same car. He still shops at the same grocery store. He still wears the same brands, not because he is forcing himself to be frugal, not because he is white-knuckling some extreme savings plan, but because his actual preferences did not change when his income did. That distinction matters more than most people think. Because when your income grows but your tastes stay stable, the entire surplus flows into your future. Every dollar of that raise that does not get absorbed by a lifestyle upgrade becomes fuel. Investments, emergency reserves, freedom money, options. And here is the quiet part. Richard is not performing frugality. He is not posting about it. He is not announcing, I could afford the upgrade, but I chose not to. He just does not want the upgrade. His identity is not tied to his income level. He likes what he likes, and a bigger paycheck did not rewire his preferences. He does not feel deprived. He does not feel like he is missing out. He feels like he is being himself, which happens to be the most profitable thing he could do. If you have noticed that your income has gone up, but your daily life looks almost identical, that is not a sign of failure. That is one of the strongest indicators that wealth is quietly building in the background. Because the gap between what you earn and what you spend is the single most important number in personal finance. And your gap is growing while other people's gaps are shrinking. The Allianz Life 2026 study found that among Americans who feel more financially stressed, 54% blame the rising costs of day-to-day expenses. But the expenses are only part of the problem. The other part is that most people's standards rise with their income, which means the gap never opens up. They earn more, they spend more, and the stress stays exactly the same. Your tastes staying the same, while your income climbs, is not something you need to fix. It is something you need to recognize for what it is. It is your financial identity resisting the pull of inflation, comparison, and social pressure. And every month that identity holds, your net worth grows by the exact amount that someone else in your income bracket is losing to lifestyle creep. Sign number 3, you have become comfortable with money just sitting there. This one is subtle, but it separates people who are building wealth from people who are cycling through money. And it is harder to recognize in yourself than you might think. There was a version of you, maybe not long ago, who felt uncomfortable when money sat still. If you had a few $1,000s in savings, it almost itched. You would start thinking of ways to spend it. A trip you had been putting off, a gadget you had been eyeing, some home improvement project that suddenly felt urgent. The money was there, and something in your brain said, use it before it disappears. That is not a flaw. That is a deeply human response. When money has historically been scarce for you, your brain treats every surplus as temporary. It activates a use it or lose it instinct because, in your past experience, money has never stayed around long enough to grow. Poor Peter is stuck in this loop. He saves $500 and 2 weeks later finds a reason to spend most of it. He calls it living. He calls it enjoying life while he can, but the pattern is the same every month. Money comes in, money goes out. The account balance stays flat year after year. Rich Richard has broken that cycle. He has money sitting in a savings account and an investment account, and he does not feel the need to touch it. Not because he is disciplined in some heroic way, but because his relationship with idle money has changed. He sees that balance and feels security, not temptation. The money sitting there is doing something for him even while it appears to do nothing. It is buying him options, calm, and margin for error. And every month that balance survives intact, his confidence grows a little more. The itch fades further. The patience deepens. According to a recent Bankrate survey, only 30% of Americans would use savings to cover a major unexpected expense, like a $1,000 car repair or emergency room visit. The rest would borrow, use credit cards, or ask family. If you have money in your accounts that you are not touching, not because you forgot about it, but because you are completely comfortable letting it sit and grow, you are in a small percentage of the population. That patience with capital is one of the earliest and most reliable signs that your relationship with money has matured. And it is worth understanding why this is so difficult for so many people. When you grow up in an environment where money is always tight, your brain literally rewires itself to treat cash as something temporary. You develop what psychologists call a scarcity mindset, where every surplus feels like an error that needs correcting. Holding on to money feels unnatural because, in your experience, money has never stayed around. Breaking that pattern takes time. It takes repeated exposure to the experience of having money and not spending it. You have to train your brain to accept that the money will still be there next week. and next month, and 6 months from now. That retraining is happening inside you right now if you can look at a savings balance and feel calm instead of restless. That calm is not something you were born with. It is something you built, and it is building your wealth whether you notice it or not. Sign number 4, your no requires zero effort. There is a huge difference between two types of saying no to a purchase. The first type is grinding. You see something you want. You check the price. You check your budget. You have an internal negotiation. You weigh the guilt against the pleasure. You go back and forth for minutes, maybe hours, maybe days, and eventually you say no, but it costs you mental energy. It feels like sacrifice. It feels like you are missing out. The second type is automatic. You see the thing, you recognize that it does not fit, and you move on. There is no battle, no internal monologue, no lingering desire. The no happens at the speed of recognition, not at the speed of willpower. If you are experiencing the second type more often than the first, something important has changed inside your financial identity. Poor Peter is still in the grinding phase. Every spending decision is a negotiation. Should I buy the shoes? I deserve them, but I should save. But life is short. But my credit card is already high. This loop plays on repeat for every purchase over $50, and it is exhausting. And sometimes Peter caves, not because he decided the purchase was worth it, but because he ran out of willpower to keep fighting himself. Rich Richard barely notices most of those decisions anymore. He walks past the store, scrolls past the ad, deletes the promotional email. No friction, no effort. He is not resisting temptation. Temptation is simply no longer there for most categories of spending. His priorities are clear enough that irrelevant purchases do not even register as options. They do not trigger a debate. They do not trigger regret. They just pass through without leaving a mark. And this is not about deprivation. Richard still spends money. He still enjoys things. But the spending happens inside a framework he has already built, and anything outside that framework gets filtered out before it becomes a decision. If you have noticed that spending decisions that used to require real mental effort now pass through you without friction, that is a sign of deep financial alignment. Your values and your spending have synced up, and the result is not discipline. The result is ease. Think about it this way. A person who has to fight themselves every single day to eat healthy will eventually lose that fight. The willpower runs out. But a person who no longer craves the unhealthy food does not need willpower at all. Their identity shifted, and the behavior followed naturally. That same principle applies to money. When your financial identity changes, the decisions change with it. You do not need to resist the impulse to overspend because the impulse itself is faded. And when that happens, you have crossed from budgeting into something much deeper. You have internalized a set of financial values that runs on autopilot, and that autopilot is quietly steering you toward wealth every single day without requiring any energy from you at all. If you are finding this helpful, hit subscribe. I cover the psychology behind building real wealth every single week. Now, let us talk about sign number 5. Sign number 5. You have started solving financial problems before they arrive. The default approach to financial problems is dealing with them after they happen. The car breaks down, then you figure out how to pay for it. The medical bill arrives, then you panic. The tax deadline comes, then you scramble. But somewhere along the way, you started doing something different. You started looking ahead, not in a paranoid way, not in a way that keeps you up at night, but in a calm, steady, almost boring way. You started asking, what could go wrong and am I ready for it? Maybe you reviewed your insurance policies and realized your coverage had gaps. Maybe you updated your beneficiaries on a retirement account you opened years ago. Maybe you started thinking about tax strategy in July instead of panicking in March. Maybe you looked into umbrella insurance or disability coverage or a will, not because anything was wrong, but because you wanted to protect what you have been quietly building. This shift from reactive to preventive is one of the most underrated wealth signals that exists. Poor Peter never thinks about problems until they land on his doorstep. Every financial issue is an emergency because he never planned for it. He does not have renter's insurance. He has not updated his car insurance in 3 years. He does not know what his deductible is. And he definitely does not have a will. Not because he does not care, but because that kind of planning feels like something rich people do. People with things worth protecting. Rich Richard does not have dramatically more money than Peter. But Richard thinks about money differently. He thinks about the future version of himself who might need protection, and he acts on behalf of that future version today. He checks his insurance. He adjusts his withholding. He talks to a tax professional once a year, not because something went wrong, but because he wants to make sure nothing goes wrong. According to a survey conducted by the National Endowment for Financial Education, only 36% of Americans said they were certain they could handle an unexpected $2,000 expense at the start of this year. That means nearly 2 out of 3 adults would be in some level of trouble if a moderate surprise showed up tomorrow. If you are the kind of person who thinks about financial risks before they materialize and takes small steps to neutralize them, you are operating on a level that most people never reach, and it does not feel impressive. It feels boring. It feels like paperwork and phone calls and 10-minute tasks that nobody notices. But those 10-minute tasks are the difference between a setback being a minor inconvenience and a setback being a financial crisis. There is a psychological term for this behavior. It is called proactive coping, and research has consistently shown that people who engage in it have lower financial stress, better long-term outcomes, and higher overall life satisfaction. They do not have fewer problems. They just encounter those problems with systems already in place to absorb them. And there is a compounding effect here that is easy to miss. Every time you solve a problem before it arrives, you free up mental energy that would have gone toward crisis management. That mental energy becomes available for earning more, thinking more clearly about investment, or simply enjoying your life without that constant low-frequency hum of worry in the background. Preventing one financial fire today does not just save you money, it saves you bandwidth, and bandwidth is what lets you build. Sign number 6, money conversations with your partner have changed. This one flies completely under the radar because it happens gradually. But if you have a partner, think about how your money conversations sound today compared to a year or two ago. There was probably a time when money was one of the most stressful topics in your relationship. Conversations about bills felt tense. Discussions about spending triggered defensiveness. Every large purchase felt like a potential argument. And maybe neither of you wanted to bring up money because you both knew it would end badly. A Northwestern Mutual study found that 57% of Americans in serious relationships say financial uncertainty has negatively impacted their relationship with their partner. Among millennials, that number jumps to 75%. Money is one of the leading sources of conflict in relationships, not because couples disagree on how much to spend, but because money carries so much emotional weight. It represents safety, identity, control, trust, and values all at once. But if those conversations have gotten calmer, that is a sign. If money has gone from being a source of fights to a source of shared planning, something significant has changed, and it is probably not just the relationship. It is the financial foundation underneath it. Poor Peter and his partner avoid the money conversation entirely. When it does come up, it is reactive. A bill they did not expect. An overdraft that happened again. Someone spent too much and the other one noticed. The emotion is always stress, blame, or guilt. There is no forward motion, just damage control. Rich Richard and his partner talk about money differently. Their conversations sound more like planning sessions than confrontations. Where are we on the house fund? Should we increase our automatic transfer by $50 a month? I looked at our insurance and I think we should adjust the deductible. These are not dramatic conversations. They are calm, short, and forward-looking. And here's the important part. Richard and his partner are not having these conversations because they have a lot of money. They are having them because they have a system. The system removed the emotion, and the calm created space for real progress. The wealth followed the conversation, not the other way around. If you and your partner have moved from arguing about money to quietly building together, that is not just a relationship win. It is a financial indicator. It means your household is functioning as a team with shared direction, and teams that agree on where they are going tend to get there faster than individuals pulling in opposite directions. And there is a compounding element to this that goes beyond the dollars. When money stops being a source of conflict in your relationship, it frees up emotional energy for everything else. You make better decisions together. You support each other's goals instead of competing over resources. You stop hiding purchases or avoiding conversations. The transparency itself becomes a financial asset because it eliminates the hidden leaks and resentful spending that quietly drain couples who never learn to talk about money without tension. If your money conversations sound more like a team meeting than a courtroom, you are building something most couples never reach. And the financial results of that alignment will show up for years to come. Sign number 7. Your biggest financial fear has evolved. This is the one that most people will never notice because it happens so gradually that you do not realize it has shifted until someone points it out. Think about what scared you most about money 5 years ago. For a lot of people, the fear was basic survival. Will I make rent? Can I afford groceries this week? What happens if I lose my job tomorrow? The fear was about not having enough, about scarcity, about the floor dropping out. Now think about what scares you today. If your fears have changed, if they have moved from survival level worries to higher level concerns, that is one of the most telling signs of hidden financial progress. Poor Peter still lives with scarcity fear. Every month is a question of whether the math works. Every unexpected bill triggers a wave of panic. His fear is simple, primal, and constant. Will I run out? Rich Richard's fear is different. He worries about whether his investment allocation is right. He wonders if he is saving enough for retirement or if he should be more aggressive. He thinks about whether he has the right insurance coverage or whether inflation is eating into his purchasing power faster than his income is growing. His fear is not about having enough to survive. His fear is about managing what he has well. And that shift from scarcity fear to stewardship fear is a signal most people misread. Richard still feels anxious about money sometimes. He still worries. He still lies awake occasionally thinking about his financial future. But the nature of that worry has fundamentally changed. He is no longer asking, will I make it? He is asking, am I making the most of what I have built? If your financial worries have evolved from survival questions to optimization questions, you have crossed a line that most people do not even know exists. Your brain has stopped treating money as a threat and started treating it as a resource to manage. That reframing does not happen overnight, and it does not happen without real, measurable progress underneath it. Your subconscious knows something your conscious mind has not caught up to yet. You are further along than you think, and here is the irony of this sign. The fact that you are worrying about optimization means you have already solved the survival problem. You just have not given yourself credit for it. You have moved past the level where millions of people are still stuck, the level where money is about keeping the lights on and hoping nothing breaks. You are now thinking about growth, protection, and legacy. Those are wealthy person problems. And the fact that they keep you up at night does not mean you are failing. It means you have entered a completely different arena. The fear will probably never disappear entirely. People who build real wealth still worry about money. The difference is what they worry about. And if your worries have graduated from can I survive this month to am I positioned well for the next decade, your financial trajectory has already changed in ways that will only become obvious looking back. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Progress in personal finance almost never announces itself. There is no notification, no progress bar, no moment where everything clicks and you suddenly feel wealthy. The shifts are so gradual that they are easy to dismiss. You might look at your life and think nothing has changed. But if you recognize yourself in several of these signs, something has changed, and it is bigger than you think. Your relationship with your paycheck has shifted. Your preferences have stayed stable while your income grew. You have learned to let money sit. Your discipline has become effortless. You are solving problems before they happen. Your financial conversations have matured, and your fears have evolved from survival to strategy. None of that looks like wealth from the outside. None of it will get you compliments or likes or envy, but all of it is building a foundation that most people will never have, not because they cannot, but because they are too busy chasing the version of wealth that looks impressive instead of the version that actually works. The real signs of getting rich do not announce themselves, they whisper. And if you have been listening, you already know you are closer than you thought. Trust the process, keep going.